UFO Channel.
The testimony originating from Colonel X regarding the Dulce complex paints a picture of a very uneasy relationship between humans and aliens, but a strange, deep, and revealing relationship, regardless it is. The 1979 uprising is why we know his story. Let's explore. Hi everyone, and welcome to Project Blue Book, where we explore all things unidentified. I am Thor, and thanks for tuning in. Colonel X was interviewed by Anthony Sanchez in Placer County, California on January 6, 2010. There, he proclaimed a story he himself has stated is so bizarre that if half of it were true, he would still think you were crazy. That's a quote from Colonel X. But it's true. It happened in 1979 when he was sent to the Dulce complex, sitting near a Jicarilla Apache settlement on top of the 8,000-foot high plateau of the Archuleta Mesa, northern New Mexico. He was sent there as a member of a medical detachment, a major in the U.S. Air Force, and stationed at McClellan Air Force Base outside Sacramento, California. He was assigned to a medical detachment tasked with psychiatric and behavioral studies for the U.S. Air Force, as well as the Central Intelligence Agency. In 1979, he received orders to report to Edwards Air Force Base, and from there he would fly on a special assignment to conduct interviews at a secret installation at Dulce, New Mexico. He knew nothing of the Dulce base prior, but he had been involved with unexplained phenomena before. He had earned his silent trust with his superiors. A year earlier, he had been to a crash site near Fort Irwin, where a Hercules C-130 nearly collided several times, the story goes, with a flying object flying around the C-130 at speeds exceeding 1,500 miles per hour. The Hercules stalled, crashed, and 2 of the 6 crew members died. Colonel X was assigned to take the survivors' incident reports that included the sightings of the UFO and their near-collision aerial encounter. He had also worked within the Cheyenne Mountain underground complex, evaluating security staff on the long-term effects of confinement, a monitoring of the mental health of the Cheyenne top-secret long-term crew. He would conduct an investigation, perform psychological analysis, and write a report. So between his Cheyenne Mountain experience and U.S. Air Force UFO encounter psychological evaluations, in addition to his earned and proven secrecy, silence, and trust regarding all of the above, clearly the U.S. Air Force believed he was the right man for this job. At his debrief at Edwards, he met familiar faces. Another major assigned to many of the same cases he was, in addition to a Navy intelligence officer and a brigadier general known to him. They all listened to the debrief. Something had happened at Dulce that needed their attention, and upon arrival there by helicopter in the middle of nowhere, north of Dulce, New Mexico, he learned of the 2-part underground top-secret facility for the first time. It was an R&D facility under the name of Rio Arriba Scientific and Technological Underground Auxiliary. It was so vast that it had railroad lines connecting to compartments and Humvees driving supplies inside the facility that were landed by helicopters outside their entrances. The entrance, he said, was visible to the naked eye only if you were standing right in front of it, 300 feet away, and they blended perfectly with the landscape. The helicopter pads, too, were completely invisible even from the air. This place was completely hidden. Something had happened at Dulce 48 hours before their arrival. An uprising, led to a conflict between human joint special forces and quote-unquote other inhabitants of the complex. His detachment's job was to assess the situation, interview the survivors, and administer an injection, a neurobiological agent, a mixture of propranolol hydrochloride, known to diffuse the effects of psychological trauma, into the arms of the survivors, observe changes, reassess the survivors, and then pack up, write a report, and leave. All of this within a 48-hour window they had clearance for. The Brigadier General warned them, "You're entering a situation even he had difficulty comprehending," but they had to succeed. They had received an envelope on their flight to Kirtland Air Force Base, and reading it was Colonel X's first exposure to the history of Dulce, the finding of it in 1940, the Apache battle with the inhabitants back in the 19th century, and we covered in previous episodes on Project Blue Book, Aliens vs. Apaches, and the secret of Dulce Alien Complex, the Murak expedition. We can only imagine the jolt of perception this information caused in the minds of Colonel X and his detachment. They had their personal top secret disclosure right there, and their reality was changed forever. The envelope described non-human entities, alien greys, living underground for millennia, descendants of others that had come to Earth from Mars before coming from Sirius millions of years ago, called the progenitors. They had writings related to the cuneiform writings that spoke of connections and involvement with human origins dating back 200,000 years. It was literally world-shattering. Upon arrival, they were met with a chaotic scene of personnel being attended to medically, as well as with blankets, food, and coffee. The scene was raw, like right after a major battle, and there were body bags, dozens of them. So the first task was to understand the staff list. Who was alive, who was dead, who was injured, and consequently, who might still be unaccounted for, missing within the complex. The place was crawling with Navy, Army, Air Force, and Marine personnel, like an underground Pentagon in an upheaval, and Colonel X got to see the rooms, filled with technical equipment, the carved-out man-made buildings underground, blending perfectly with raw cave-like dwellings, illuminated by the reflective glass-like floor he was standing on, a dark lavender color emanating to create a faint, subdued lighting. It was high-tech, futuristic, and naturally raw, all at the same time. He noticed signs in English and in cuneiform, side by side. This was level 3, a joint facility. What he was about to learn was that a revolt had occurred, a spat that evolved into a battle between humans and the alien greys. It had to do with a betrayal of trust. It happened on level 3, resulting in a battle where a group of greys fought alongside humans against other greys. It was complicated, as we will learn. Colonel X was invited by a security officer assigned to him to take a trip through the joint facilities. That's where he saw their computer technologies, glass touch screen panels, and glass dividers with writing on them that were invisible from one side, but clear on the other. Remember, this was 1979. He also describes meeting a 4-foot alien grey, who he was told was 600 years old, a young adult, wearing a lab coat with an IBM logo on it, an alien grey with an IBM logo in its chest. They don't shake hands, they nod slightly. Communication was not verbal nor telepathic, but through tablets that instantly translated what you wanted to say between multiple Earth languages and cuneiform language and back, and verbalized as perfectly intonated audio. Again, remember, this was 1979. The reason for the uprising goes deep. Dating back to the discovery of the complex in 1940, Humans had provided the gray inhabitants with material, biological, and biogenetic resources they required, and they were provided with secrecy in exchange for coveted technological information. Jointly, an agreement was made to share the facility, with humans controlling levels 1 through 3, where levels 3 was cohabited by humans and alien greys, for joint R&D work and technological collaboration. Level 4 through 7 were strictly controlled by the greys. No humans were to enter, or death would result. These deeper levels would not and could not be assessed by humans, period. This agreement was broken when humans breached level 4 in 1979. The alien greys had always explained the reason for the non-access below 3 was the greys' reverence to something ancient and something cultural that could not be shared or witnessed by humans, they said. And humans respected this line of separation and adhered to this ban for decades. What happened in 1979 was that this reverence excuse was discovered to be a lie. A dissident gray shared information with a human that what was hidden in the depths of the lower levels was a giant program of human experimentation, where humans were abducted and disappeared from the surface to be kept as lab animals and experimented upon for the benefit of the greys' advancement in genetics. There they would be poked, tortured, their genetic material extracted in any way possible, without respect for pain or suffering, with the purpose of making themselves and their human-alien hybrid offsprings more compatible with Earth's biosystem, resisting bacteria, overcome their inability to consume oxygen from Earth's arid air, as well as their hypersensitivity to the electromagnetic radiation from the sun, something deadly to the greys and their camouflaging outer skin. A group of dissident greys, a younger generation, coveted the relationship with humans and wanted to uphold its principles. They did not like what was going on the lower levels. One of them shared the secret, the lie, and that was the root of the uprising. As a result, a human group of scientists and their military protective detachment on level 3 went down to level 4 to learn more. That was the spark, and the battle ensued. Humans had been warned a breach of level 4 would result in death. Following the battle, a tactical team discovered a room full of freshly abducted humans laying in some form of preservatives to avoid their decay, all deceased, all recently abducted, by the dozens. It was an absolutely horrific discovery, and the human special forces faced the aliens with deadly determination as well. The result of the battle that lasted less than 24 hours were 72 humans dead, 120 rescued. Anecdotally, Phil Schneider's name was among the missing, a civil contractor for the URS Corp. Yet he made it out, unprocessed. 23 remained missing. Over 200 Greys died in the battle. Colonel X became a long-term member of a certain DSD-3 group, with clearances L and Echo, a top-secret visibility not even afforded our presidents. And while this story seems categorically unbelievable, it is corroborated by others who have spoken up, including Paul Benovitz and Phil Schneider, both dead under mysterious circumstances. Colonel X, in retirement, has hidden his tracks well. He has disappeared intentionally. He has passed 2 polygraph tests. His identity, while undisclosed for all the reasons we must understand, is verifiable and has been verified, according to Sanchez. The reason for coming forward, he proclaims, in 2010, was that too many people with first-hand experience were dying, and he too, sometime soon, would be gone as well. He, like so many other heroes of whistleblower testimony, felt a need to tell the truth before passing.
We'd like to ask for your input. Share your opinion and expertise with us in the comments after watching the video. If you're a subscriber, you'll always get a heart from us as a small thank you, and we'll pin your important post to the top where everyone will read it first. Just make sure you've already subscribed, like the video, and mention both at the beginning of your comment.